Welcome to the Retro Beats Podcast, Episode 3, presented by RetroWare TV. I'm your host, Derek Alexander, and as always, it's important to know that this is not a chiptune, video game cover band, or remix podcast. This is an original video game music podcast, celebrating 8-bit and 16-bit music, but there is no nostalgia required to enjoy this podcast. All you need is a love of music and a love of video games. You also need to not get spooked because this is a very special Halloween edition of Retro Beats. And we play nothing but the spookiest music! So to set the mood, we're going to be starting with maybe the most famous spooky video game song, Lavender Town's theme from Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow. And what do I have after that? Whoa, you'll have to just find out for yourself. better not be getting spooked. Playing all the spooky music. Remember, don't get spooked, or else I win, or something. That was level 2 from Gremlins 2, a game that I would say is probably better than the movie. Man, Gremlins 1 is an excellent movie, and they just got really weird with Gremlins 2. That was by Sunsoft. One of their better games, but not their best. Before that, Splatterhouse 2. I could probably have done this entire damn podcast just on Splatterhouse music, but I wanted to keep it more varied than that, so that's some Splatterhouse 2, The Foul River. Before that, Metroid Kraid's theme, and before that, Mother, aka Earthbound Zero, with a ghastly sight, what is otherwise known as the Graveyard theme. And kicking it off was Lavender Town from Pokemon. Now we're keeping things going with Faxanadu, and yes, I know it's actually pronounced Fuzzanadu, but I grew up saying Faxanadu, so sue me. This is the Land of Mist, and it has the same quality of as Lavender Town's theme from Pokemon. It uses a melody and shrill sounds to establish a menacing tone. It's a very nuanced and difficult thing to compose. And after that's probably more spooky music. Don't get spooked! Life Force, the second stage boss right there. Before that, the K theme from Willow, which is a game by Capcom based on a movie directed by Ron Howard, produced by George Lucas in the late 80s. I don't know that a lot of people remember that. The game is really good, but the arcade is really, really good. But check out the NES game. If you find the Willow cart, it's probably going to be cheap. It's definitely worth it. Some really, really good classic Capcom tunes on it. Before that, Castlevania 3, The Ghost Ship. And before that, Metal Gear, which the entire soundtrack to the NES version of Metal Gear has a very, kind of foreboding atmosphere. The game is actually really anxious. The game really makes you very anxious the entire time. And I had the infiltrating the bass music and then the sound of when you get seen by an enemy. And I think it's fun to listen to that song, the Alert song, because usually you leave the screen or die before you have a chance to hear the entire song. And kicking it off was Fax Anadu from the Land of Mist. I want to do something special now. The dungeon music from Dragon Quest I is perfect for this episode, but the original NES and Famicom versions are just a little too primitive. I mean, they're well composed, but they're not really interesting to listen to. They're just a little too kind of 8-bit grating. So instead, I'll use the music from the Famicom remake, Dragon Quest 1 and 2. This version, of course, never came out in America, so this will be a treat for some of you. So let's descend into the 5 floors of the Dark Dungeon from Dragon Quest. Secret of Mana for the Super Nintendo. The song is called Ceremony. And interesting note about that song, it appears later in the game, or I guess about halfway through the game, but up to that point, all you hear is kind of upbeat and very colorful, happy songs. And then you go to this one town where a lot of people are kind of stuck in this trance, and they seem to be drawn to this strange temple in the south part of town. And you don't really do anything at that town yet. You have to come back later. When you come back later, I think at that point, everybody in the town is now taken over in this trance, and you have to go inside the temple, which up to that point, again, lots of melody, lots of colorful, happy, upbeat stuff, and then you have that song that is very amelodic and unsettling, and very, very good soundtrack. It's been stated there's a reason why the composer who did the music for Secret of Mana gets the very first credit in the title screen. Before that, had some more ActRaiser. That's a song that appears in a number of places throughout the game, like in Fillmore Act 2, Cassandora Act 2, and Morana Act 1. But that's just kind of like one of the Caves songs, and goddamn, that soundtrack, solid all the way through. Before that was a track from Final Fantasy VI, and I really can't go into detail about that track, because if I did, it would kind of be a spoiler. And I've said before, man, Final Fantasy VI is, better than Final Fantasy VII, and I know more people have played 7 than 6, which, if you ask me, is a shame. And then kicking it off, we had the 5 floors, the Dark Dungeon of Dragon Quest I. As always, it is time for a change of pace in the show. We're switching from spooky to anxious. This next set of songs is boss music. And actually, this next track right here I can play for you is from Secret of Mana. Again, we're doing back-to-back Secret of Mana songs. But again, that soundtrack is so varied and so eclectic. These two songs sound almost nothing alike. And I bet if I hadn't told you, you wouldn't even know these are from the same game. But this song is called Danger. And then after that, I have a track from Legend of the Mystical Ninja with a song called It's a Monster. And then some other stuff. I'm not going to spoil the spooky surprises, but I guess this isn't spooky. This is Don't Get Nervous. Don't Get Anxious. Here's some more Secret of Mana. Limo, the Dream Master. That was the final boss theme, the very end of the game. The game takes kind of an abrupt turn the very last minute. Throughout the entire game, you're running through, fields and oceans and your house and all this one. You're on a train, you're having such a good time, and then all of a sudden you got to go to Nightmare Land, and the game kind of becomes very similar to like Gargoyle's Quest or Mega Man, and you finally are able to use the scepter on your back, and yeah, the game takes a nice dark turn, and that final fight with the last boss, that song really gets your heart pumping, really gets the sweat coming out of your hands. Very good end to a very, very good, very difficult game too. Another one of those ideas that when you get to the end of the game, you kind of realize, I've been playing this for a really long time. It's been a hell of a journey, and this is the last boss. It really does create a good sense of anxiety. Awesome stuff. Before that, some Ninja Gaiden 2. All the Ninja Gaiden games, mainly the first two, so many songs off of those soundtracks. I'm going to be playing them for months. Before that, we had Contra 1, the Alien Lair. Not a boss theme, but as the theme that plays throughout that last sequence, and a nice kind of brooding change of pace. And I love the structure of that song. It has like 3 or 4 parts that don't really feel like they should fit together. Again, very well composed, very nuanced, and a difficult thing to pull off, that kind of Devil May Care type of structure to a song. Before that, The Legend of the Mystical Ninja with a song called It's a Monster, and I had the little intro bit there for that. And then Danger, Secret of Mana, aka the boss theme. A few episodes ago, I talked about how music in a game should communicate to the audience that they're nearing the end of their journey. And I use the example of Mega Man 3's Wily Stages. There are 3 songs that play, and they grow heavier emotionally, stirring up feelings of like anxiety and dread as you get further and further in the game. Mega Man 4 only has 1 song throughout all the Wily levels. It's one of the many reasons why the game was a pathetic follow-up to Part 3. But to illustrate this, what I thought I'd do is I just play 1, 2, and 3, all of the Wily levels from Mega Man 3 to just give you the idea of what that journey kind of feels like. By the time you get to that 3rd song, you can really tell there's a difference in the way the songs are composed, and they're trying to convey that kind of emotion. And also, the 2nd track that plays, the 2nd and 3rd track that plays, pay close attention to the bass notes, the lower notes, because really they're the ones that are dictating the emotion. There's certain instances where the melody doesn't really change at all. That same melodic idea repeats, 2 or 4 times, but it's the bass that's actually going down the scale or moving around the scale. So pay attention to the bass, because that's actually where the emotion is. And then after that, I got one more track, and oh man, we're nearing the end of this episode, folks. But here we go. Wily Stages 1, 2, and 3 from Mega Man 3. And by the way, you're listening to Retro Beats. This is the Halloween edition. We're wrapping up here. Not quite as spooky anymore, but I still got a couple spooky surprises before we wrap things up. Let's get it going with some Mega Man 3. wouldn't give to hear an actual church choir sing that. Such a beautiful and haunting melody. That was the church theme from Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. And look at that. My first Zelda song. I bet you didn't think I was going to play that one, huh? That's what I'm all about here. Well, it's time to wrap things up. A lot of people, they give praise to the original Castlevania soundtrack, but few mention the ending theme. That might be because it's a pain in the ass to actually get that far to hear it. But anyway, closing out the show is the ending theme to Castlevania 1 for the NES by Konami. This has been Retro Beats, the Retro Beats Podcast, Episode 3. My name is Derek Alexander, all brought to you in part by RetroWareTV.com. Thank you for listening. Here is some Castlevania, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.